Philadelphia Flyers are proving me and pretty much everybody in the hockey world wrong right now. After predicting them to miss the playoffs by a long shot, the Flyers now sit second in the Metro Division, almost at the halfway point of this season. But what has actually gone right with this Flyers team? What has changed? And are they actually a playoff contender this year? Well, make sure you watch till the end as we go through every bit of this Flyers team to just see how much they have proved me wrong. And hit that subscribe button if you're new for more hockey content just like this all throughout as we lead up to the NHL playoffs. Now, before we get into just how crazy this Flyers team has been and actually how good they are, let's first talk about today's sponsor in Underdog Fantasy. My favorite and soon to be your favorite place to play daily fantasy sports. Going through today's picks, we're first going to start out with Jason Robertson getting higher than 3.5 shots against Chicago. I got Charlie Lindgren higher than 27.5 saves versus the Islanders. He's been fantastic lately. And I have John Tavares higher than 3.5 shots against the Blue Jackets. He hasn't gotten less than 4 shots, I believe, since like December 7th. So we're going to ride high with him. So when you guys join me on Underdog Fantasy, you'll get an 100% match on your first deposit up to $100 and as well a free pick'em to pair with any player. Underdog is also operational in 30 plus US states, including Texas, Florida, California, and multiple Canadian provinces. So to make watching the NHL and all sports even more interesting, go to the description, click on the link, join Underdog Fantasy, and use the promo code GRAB. And thank you so much to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring today's video. Now let's talk about this Flyers team that is defying all expectations right now. And again, if we look at the standings here, Philadelphia, 35-ish games into the season, is second in the Metro, tied with Carolina with 42 points, but also points percentage-wise, they are clearly ahead of Carolina, second in the Metro with a 6.18. They're not likely to catch the Rangers in any capacity, but so far they have cemented themselves as not just one of the better Metro teams, but one of the better NHL teams too. You look in the entire Eastern Conference, and right now Philadelphia tied with the Florida Panthers in points percentage with a 618 rate, tied 4th in the entire Eastern Conference. This Flyers team has had some ups and downs, but at the same time has been consistent in their work ethic, and the results have followed. Now we look at my Metro Division predictions from before the year, and they're not looking the greatest in the world. I had a couple of interesting picks, like the Rangers still doing well and being in a position like that, Columbus still missing the playoffs, but for a large part of this division, as it is right now at least, I have been pretty wrong here. Especially you look at the bottom of the division with the Philadelphia Flyers with 63 points. I didn't see them being in the total basement, but I still saw them being one of the worst teams in the NHL. I think in the bottom 5 still, and they have joyfully proved me wrong. You can basically go to any outlet out there that was predicting the season standings, predicting the Metro Division. Most of them would have Philly either last or almost last in the Metro and still one of the worst teams in the NHL. I think the highest I saw them in any projected points was like 75. Nobody was predicting this team to be good. But you look at this roster heading into the year, and obviously putting all of this year aside and how they performed, it isn't a roster that is all too crazy, all too inspirational. They have a few really solid players, and obviously Sean Couturier coming back was a big addition that I did not account for enough in my predictions. If you go down, and of course the defense before this year really wasn't looking all too good at all. The goaltending was maybe the one thing that we could have seen as maybe something to lift the Flyers out of the basement, with Carter Hart potentially having another good year. But that was really the biggest hope for them, was that Carter Hart would bail them out of a bottom 5, bottom 3 spot. But so far, this Flyers team has been a complete roster and has been playing like a playoff team too. It's one thing for the Flyers to be in a playoff spot in this position of the season. It's another for this Flyers team to deserve a playoff spot. And woefully, more than some other teams in the Metro, they deserve a playoff spot with how they're playing. And sometimes you just got to give credit where it is due. This is all because of John Tortorella's influence, and it's pretty apparent to see. Last year, of course, in his first year of Philadelphia, there were some growing pains, and that core was getting used to John Tortorella's system and getting used to playing under it. This season, though, we have seen a total buy-in from top to bottom. Not just the defense playing better, but this entire roster has been playing the best versions of themselves, and it's because of Torts that it's happening here. He is so good at getting the most out of mid-rosters, but that's what he's doing right now with Philly. I think what's been truly telling about this Flyers season in general has been how much they bought into Tortorella's system with the defensive structure they now have, and this last game versus Vancouver I think was really able to show it. They shut out Vancouver earlier in the year, and now they get a 4-1 win. You can see in the first period the shots on goal were 13-7. They limited Vancouver in a very special way and were able to strike on every opportunity they were given. The Flyers were grinding play down and making life so difficult for this Vancouver team, who usually has made life so difficult for every other team in the NHL this year. But the Flyers took it to them on home ice. And still, in the second period, with 5 minutes to go, the Flyers are content with keeping this game as low scoring as possible until Igor Zamula able to snipe a shot from the point to make it 1-0. The Flyers continue to be opportunistic as the Canucks would give them just a little bit of an inch. They're able to corral it back, and what a shot by Sean Walker, man. But this next goal is really telling of the Flyers style and just how much has changed. You can see how much these forwards especially have bought into John Tortorella's system. It's 2-0 Philly, 2:57 to go in the second, and they forced Nikita Zadorov to make an absolutely awful mistake. And here comes Joel Farabee. What a goal. And he makes an icer of a goal to make it 3-0. But that buy-in in the neutral zone, the attack defensively, this Philadelphia team does not stop playing defense through every shift in this game, throughout most shifts in this season. This Flyers team is not back down, and the defensive structure, the opportunistic style they have, makes it just so frustrating for the other team. Especially a team like Vancouver, who's trying to forecheck, trying to create balance in the neutral zone. They just can't versus a team like Philly. I mean, heaven forbid it's a Flyers versus Canucks Stanley Cup final. If that happens, the Flyers are trouncing the Canucks from top to bottom. Heck, it would be a sweep. Imagine how funny that would be. Now, some people will say it's not sustainable. They're shooting at a high percentage, and that is true, but that is the game that Philadelphia plays. They're able to outwork you and able to score when they need to, and so far it's worked out for them, but that consistency has come into question. But to me, with Philadelphia, I don't really see many problems with it. You look as well in the expected goals for per 60 at 5-5. They're 10th in the NHL right now. They're putting up opportunities. They're scoring on their chances as well, and they're generating offense at a pretty great rate. As well as 5-on-5 defense, they're 7th in the NHL right now too. And to me, with this Flyers team, it's not a question about sustainability. They're going to be sustainable throughout the rest of the year. This is a team that plays well, is outworking the other teams, and they're also scoring and generating chances too, and not allowing too much in their own zone. This is a team that 5-on-5 is putting up great results and great underlying stats as well to back it all up. If you look at the team stats, and it's not exactly the most impressive thing in the world, but just like Washington, who's been able to shore up their defense, they've been able to win these close games and out-battle the other team. You still look, and there's a lot of dependable players here. Travis Konecny, 16 goals, leading the team in goal scoring, has been a consistent threat and has continued to get better and better, especially over these last 2 seasons. He's been a dominant player. Joel Farabee continuing to get better as well as he starts to get a little bit older as well. 24 points in 34 games, but he's another player, like we saw in that clip versus Vancouver, who's been able to buy in defensively and look a lot better because of it. Travis Sanheim had a brilliant start to the year, and it's kind of regressed in some ways, but still looking fantastic. Sean Couturier, what a player to bring back for this Flyers team, is as good as he was when he was bringing all these injuries into it right before that. I mean, 2021, 2020, these dominant years by Couturier. It seems like he's back to that level, and offensively, it might even deserve more points than he's gotten this year. You got players like Owen and Tippett, who have been a revelation goal scoring wise, and has also been able to put up some decent stats defensively. Cam Atkinson has been solid. Scott Laughton isn't even scoring at the rate he should. 3 goals in 34 games, but I think he'll definitely get better than that in the second half. You got players like Tyson Forrester, Cam York has looked better, and in the defense play as well. I mean, Sean Walker has been a great addition. He has looked incredible for Philly. Could be maybe a trade deadline trade, but also with Philadelphia's position. I'm not sure if they're going to be sellers at all. If you just go down the list, you got players like Igor Zamula, who've been great defensively. Nick Seeler has been incredible for this Philadelphia team in his role. And you just go down through it, and there's so many guys that have bought in defensively, bought in completely with Tort's system. And you got to give credit where it's due, man. Torts has completely changed the outlook of this Flyers roster. What's also impressive is that Philadelphia is doing this with one of the worst power plays in the league, almost the worst power play in the league. They're 31st right now with an 11.2% power play. That's about as bad as it gets in the modern era, right there in the dumpster of teams like St. Louis, Washington, Chicago, like Calgary. And sure, with the weapons that Philadelphia has, it's not a huge surprise. Then the power play, they're not really doing too much. But it just shows how good they have been 5-on-5. They are not getting carried out all by their power play. In fact, it's been a detriment. At this point, you'd rather have the team at 5-on-5. But honestly, I'm kind of enjoying the fact that Philly is proving me wrong. I'm enjoying the fact that players like Travis Konecny are playing well, that Sean Couturier, coming off injury, has been as good as new. Who would have thought that would happen? But I'm also enjoying for players like Couturier, like Konecny, like Carter Hart even, that through so much disappointment over these past few years, that they have a great roster now on their hands that is buying in completely and playing well. And especially in Carter Hart's end, even though he hasn't had the greatest season at times, maybe even being outplayed by Samuel Ersson, I think he deserves this more than anybody, man. He has been behind horrible rosters, horrible defenses for so long, and now he can finally breathe at least a little bit. This Flyers team, though, has completely changed their identity, and it's been wild to see. I mean, you got a player like Rasmus Ristolainen in the games he's played, being unreal defensively. That's just the John Tortorella effect right there, man. And I'm just saying, with how good they've been 5-on-5, with how well they work, if this is a team that does make the playoffs, which I think they will, you cannot bet against this team at all. You can't say they're going to be an easy win by any means. And Philadelphia has earned their right to be a competitive team throughout this year. In the second half, we could see that Metro chalk up a little bit, and I could see maybe Philadelphia going back down to maybe a wild card spot. But with the way this team plays, unless they completely lose the rest of their roster to injuries or something, this Flyers team should be in a playoff spot, will be in the NHL playoffs this year, and that's just so much fun to watch, man. That's just such a fun story too, how this team has come from nothing all the way to the top. But just like what we saw with Florida last year, this is a team that grinds down play, makes play difficult for the other team, and do not bet against them if they make the playoffs, even if it is just a wild card position. They could do anything if they get in. They have good 5-on-5 play, great opportunistic scoring, their physical presence is elite, and the way they play defense lends to wins in the playoffs. As of right now, if the playoffs were to start today, they'd face off against the Carolina Hurricanes. And man, with the way that Carolina has been playing defensively, even though it has gotten better as of late, I think I do prefer Philadelphia in a series like that. I prefer the goaltending there, and I prefer the defensive structure that Philadelphia has right now. And even though Carolina is looking a lot better as of late, we'll see if a matchup like that actually happens in the end. It would be a wild one, and I think one that would go 7 games, just like the Islanders one did last year too. But to you Flyers fans, I hope you guys are enjoying, because this team is building something special, and they have one of the better prospect pools in the NHL too. Sure, would have been nice to tank and get Macklin Celebrini, absolutely, and I think long term there are still some holes there. But at the same time, Philadelphia right now is riding high. They have a great coach right now who's doing the most that he can with this team, and right now they're completely buying in and playing really fun, opportunistic hockey. And what's not to love if you're a Flyers fan? They're doing exactly they're playing the best versions of themselves right now, and could be a playoff team this summer. That's crazy to think about, wild to think about that that's actually a possibility. But this Flyers team has outworked everybody to be in this position, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think of this Flyers team? Are they for real, or do you think they'll slide in the second half? Let us know down below what you guys think they could do in the playoffs as well if they were to get there, and how good this Flyers team is. Let us know all your thoughts. And of course, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell for more breakdowns just like this all throughout the hockey season if you guys enjoyed. And click on this card for all my tournament content right in one playlist. My name is Nathan, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day, and goodbye.